Because,
Yeah,
but
right.
nah. Because
you're correct.
when you the white, when you the white dude, you can get to say whatever the fuck you want, huh?
Did I call
But
you?
when I cuss, I'm a bad person and you got me wrong. But when you say nigger, you can say it? And we gotta be quiet? Nah.
Hey, man.
That's bull. I don't tolerate none of that.
He stand up.
Never told me to stand up for that. So I'm not, and when you say nigger, I'm gonna take that away. Because for over 200 years, y'all use that word to bring my fucking people down.
I've lost the use of
Nah, that's some bullshit. I don't wanna hear your explanation for shit, dude.
still alive.
Wait, after.
Still looking for the light. The endless pool on the other side. It's a wild, wild west. I'm doing my best. I'm at the borderline of my fate. I'm in the hinterland of my devotion. I'm in the front line of this battle of mine, but I'm still alive. I'm a soldier of love.
Yo, peace in Islam, Shalom, Hotep, or any of those other great greetings that so-called conscious community like to throw out. How's everybody?
Blessed. How you doing?
Well, thanks.
Good, good.
Glad to see you. Glad you was able to make it.
I know. I finally made it.
I do ask that if you are comfortable to turn on your cameras. This is being recorded also. If you're not comfortable, I totally get it. I understand. So do as you feel, but you are in a safe place, in a safe space. We're going to be going over some du jour principles, pointing out a few things as it relates to who we are and how to effectuate this here Moorish and divine national movement. Big ups to the Prophet for high honors, supreme honors, Prophet Noble Drali for bringing us back into the constitutional fold of government. And what we must understand and know is that we are in no way, shape, or form a part of the de facto governmental brands that delude to enslavement. It has been by the mind that we have been stuck in that place, and those things that are not a part of who we are those labels such as Negro, Black, Colored, and Afro-American and African-American, Native American, American Indian, Puerto Rican, Jamaican, etc. The list goes on. But there are many names that we have been known by that ties us back to our nationality. Can everyone see the screen share?
Yes.
All right. Did anyone want to go around and introduce themselves? Say a little something. I'll start since I am the host. I am I.S.L.A.M Bay, improper persona juris, suveredis, and a promigenter, consanguine bloodline. And we're going to be touching on nationality and birthrights, just some basics, so that we can get those things into our spirit. Spirit only means breath. So every time you speak, You are creating, you are manifesting. Thought that you have is a part of that manifestation. So this is why the prophet said to think and think for yourselves, think well. And we can begin to correct these things. I'll yield the floor and I ask that anyone else, if you are going to speak, that you also indicate that you're yielding the floor once you're finished. And I yield.
I am Sheikh, Impropria Persona, and I yield the floor.
Welcome, brother.
I'm Benjamin Bay, Impropria Persona, and I yield the floor as well. It's on to you all.
Welcome, brother.
Hello, I'm Elaine. I'm just here to learn the basics so I can learn how to maneuver within this system. And what is it? I yield the floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome, my sister. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, the first, Brother Reggie, what's happening, man?
Not much. Finally got logged in.
Yeah, I see. You made it.
Yeah. Still on the U though, but I'm gonna work it out.
All right, cool. That's cool. That's what's up, man.
Resume, Koki Basana, Sujuris, Aboriginal, Indigenous, American. I yield.
Islam.
Peace.
Okay. Anyone else? Are we good? We just pushing on?
My name is Dantes Coleman. My roots, my family roots is Virginia, Georgia, Michigan. I'm still learning about my, deeper roots and here to learn more about, everything that they put on us. So peace and love.
Islam to that, man. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Courtney, and I am here just to learn more about our roots. I ran across you guys' page from my sister, and since then it's been a wrap.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you made it. Glad you got pointed in the right direction. Hope I trust that I'll be able to enlighten you a bit, and those of us who are here, some of us are well aware of who we are, and we'll work it out. We'll get you on the right page, most certainly. Welcome.
Islam.
Islam.
I'm DJ Alexander Bay from the Alabama territory. I just came here to support my brother Ronnie. I finally made it to your stream, man.
Welcome, Slam. All right, brother. Islam to that. Welcome. Glad you was able to make it.
Oh yeah. I yield the floor.
Indeed.
Right.
All right. I am looking for the Moorish American Constitution and bylaws. Forgive me, people. I done misplaced what I did with it. Doing the screen share. So hold on a second. Let me stop it. And we'll get back to it. All right, so how many of us are aware of the Prophet's literature, aware of a great place to find the information? Have you ever heard the Moorish American prayer? Are you aware of the Constitution and bylaws for Moorish Americans?
Yeah.
No.
No problem. I think a good idea, just as I did last time, we went over the Moorish American Divine Constitution, and we all read a section. So I'm asking for participation. Would anybody like to start off? Act 1.
I can go first.
All right.
It's Makita here.
All right. Welcome.
The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizen of Moorish America. I yield.
Gratitude. Act 2, anyone?
I'll get it. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. I yield the floor.
Gratitude. Act 3. All right, I'll read it. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizens is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Yo, Act 4.
I'll get Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live life accordingly. I yield.
Gratitude. Act 5, anyone?
I'll read it. Act 5, no organization of the Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but obeyed hereby. There you have the floor.
Gratitude. Act 6, anyone? All right, I'll read it. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, Black people, or Ethiopians. Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders. Note that doesn't say masters. In 1779 and lasted until 1865. During that time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern, and southwestern shores of Africa. Also throw in there Central America, since it's sometimes thought of in that way. You can also add in the islands on both sides of what is known as the Americas. And I yield. Act 7, anyone?
I'll take it. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of quote unquote faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. I yield the floor.
Gratitude. So the Moorish American prayer, typically you would stand and face the east. For the east for me would be to my back. And you will put 5 on the left and 2 on the right. And if you all are ready, we can go ahead and read that. If you want to stand and put up your 5 and 2, and feel free to do so. And it goes as such. And understand that when the prophet did this, know and understand that when he did this, this wasn't in reference to any type of worshipful type of thing. He put father there for the simple fact that many of us are caught in patriarchal mindset. And truthfully, there is no patriarchy. Everything comes from mother. But I'm ready if y'all are. So Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen, Ashe, Islam. So I brought up a few documents that are very important. How many of us have heard of the Declarations of Rights of a Child?
I have.
I have.
Cool. Well, in principle or Act 3 of Rights of a Child, it is very specific in its wording. The child shall be entitled from his birth to a name and a nationality. What does that mean to you? What do you gather from that statement, that short and sweet statement? Anyone? Well, for me, nationality was very simple. And I believe I stated this in the previous meeting. Everybody across the earth plane has a nation. The only people who do not have a nation, and even those who think they have a nation, erroneously, such as Jew, are indicated or part of the United Nations. The only ones who are not are those who are branded Negro, Black, and Colored and are part of the United States Corps or corporation. And that is not a nation at all. It's a corporate entity that was by contract allowed to do business here relative to the Constitution, which is that contract. And that contract is grafted from Muslim law. And those laws are the treaties, which if anyone wants to do any research on treaties, you can actually go to it's called the Avalon Project. This is one in particular that I have been studying. It's the Delaware Moors Treaty. But if you see here, right at the top, it gives you the ability to research every treaty. And all of those treaties are indicated as being supreme law of the land, right within the Constitution. Where was I? Okay, so there's 3 documents from the UN that touch on your international right to have a nationality. And we just touched on one of the first ones, which was Declaration of Rights of a Child. The other one is the UNDRIP or UN Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. And The other is the Declaration of Human Rights.
Yeah, I got
Also,
both of those ready.
yes, say again.
I got both of those up. If you want me
Yeah,
to read those out loud, or
yeah. Go right ahead, bro.
Universal Declaration of the Rights of the Human Rights, Article 15. Everyone has a right to a nationality. 2, no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality. And that's coming from the Universal Declaration of the Rights of Human Rights.
Islam. You said you had the UNDRIP too, bro?
The rights of indigenous people.
Yes.
Let me pull that up here. At the rights of, bear with me 1 second. This coming from the United Nations Rights Declaration, Rights of Indigenous People. Every indigenous individual has a right to a nationality. So anybody can't deny you when you say you're a national, whether you're from North America, South America, any part of the world, is recognized internationally. So if you're saying that you're from North America, I'm a Moorish American, there's no right, they can deny you any rights. Or we don't accept that here. But does also includes before then, in part 1, article 1, in the rights of indigenous people. If I can read that, it's okay with you, Ronnie?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right. In article 1, in the rights of indigenous people, it says indigenous people have the right to full and effective enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms recognized in the Charter of the United Nations, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and International Human Rights, human rights law.
Islam. And has anyone ever heard of the, oh man, I know I got it saved here. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's called the American Declaration on Human Rights. And that document, it literally mirrors all of the other international documents. You have to question why were we never properly informed of these lawful, because this is what law is. These are lawful documents. And you have to question why were we never properly informed of these documents, especially since right within the contract, i.e. Constitution, it tells you in what is that, article 3? Let me not guess. But right in the Constitution, it clearly states that the treaties are the supreme law, or this Constitution and all treaties made and all treaties that shall be made are the supreme law of the land. And you have to question why you're not properly informed or even exposed to civics properly. I know for me in school, last time I remember anything that was remotely similar or attached to civics was in junior high. And that might have been 7th or 8th grade. I don't recall being informed of or told that there was an availability of a civics class in high school. Not once. And that's why we struggle the way that we do presently as it relates to this this corporation. Does anyone have any questions?
I like to kind of what you just presented, what you just brought to the table there, brother.
Say again.
In essence of exposure, right? To certain documentation, right? Okay. To a certain degree, I was able to come across some core things that I'm sure you're reviewing in elementary school by way of, some people may think, from Maryland State Republic, you know what I'm saying, using so-called addresses in county, being able to go to predominantly Albion institutions by doing such. And I think it was like third grade where we had to do a project on Kenya and a project on Switzerland. And they were really stressing that shit. Nationality from this project.
Hey, bro, you're does anyone
Cut
else?
out.
Yeah, I think you're I think it's slowing or something.
Because I'm where I'm at in the kitchen, I'll just back up a little. Can you guys hear me now? Is this better?
At the
A little
present,
bit. Yeah.
All right. So I'll just say briefly, right? Like dealing with like in the fourth grade, right? Having to have detention, right? And the punishment was, you have to write the etymology of the etymology and definition of words that our fourth grade teacher gave us for detention. So it almost like when I'm like 29, right? This is like, I'm in my 7th year now since declaring nationality. And I just really realized that things that I could have taken for granted in 3rd grade and 4th grade tension, I didn't, and we're able to, come here together in a spirit to be able to discuss how we come across the information. So to add to the spirit, and maybe some of us are coming out of mindsets where we may have believed and or practiced being colorable terms, Negro, Black, colored, African American. And now what you're bringing to the forefront is, ancillary documentation that is helpful in assisting in us correcting our concepts and how we're looking in intercoursing with one another. Because that in jurisprudence, the term intercourse denotes communication and how we're corresponding. So when declaring and proclaiming our nationality, we're really just making sure we're being sure with who we say we are. So any documentation we review, any documentation we put our applications to, and they're only brief stating that this is the mindset in which we're going to conduct ourselves. So it's amazing. We all come from, hey, why didn't they show this to us? And hey, look, man, this is my perspective, and this stuff got shown to me. And even though I learned it from school projects and detention, I can see now how a contribution in, a presentation such as this, it's really paramount in making sure that we know these things so that we can be able, any documentation you bring up, we'll be able to analyze it and be able to share it with our loved ones so that we can be able to conduct ourselves in a way where we see like people come here to have dual citizenship, set up shops in your neighborhoods with bulletproof glass and contribute nothing back into your neighborhood.
Exactly. Completely leeching off of your virtues.
I think in football they call that encroachment. I'm just saying, I yield for Islam.
Islam. Thank you, brother, for the add-on. Does anybody else want to add on or have any questions? Right, no problem. I'm looking for something in particular that I want to share with you all. So do bear with me. I do apologize. Let's see. Is anyone aware of a website called RV Bay Publications? I know that there's about 4 or 5 of us here that are aware, but is there anyone
fully
else?
aware.
Fully aware. No doubt. No doubt. Is anyone else here that's not aware of RV Bay Publications? It is an amazing website. It is full of very assistive information. The declaration and judicial declaration and name change proclamation documents are available there. And we can go over those in brief. Is there anyone here who has not proclaimed or declared their nationality as yet?
I have not.
I have not either.
All right.
Ooh, Brother Ronnie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You already know what their I have nots have done for me. I mean, no. I want to ask them a simple question.
Sure.
And guys, please don't let my voice, I have to be aware of my tone of voice because I know we're all doing hypnosis ultimately, and don't take that as a negative. I know that when we speak a certain tone of voice, it makes us feel a certain way. So let me be mindful of my tone is what I'm saying. Here's my question. What do you guys call yourselves now when it comes to identifying yourself in terms of nationality? Honestly, what do you term yourselves prior to hearing about Prophet Noble Drew Ali or Moorish American?
I call myself goddess, to be quite honest with you. I did a couple of weeks ago when we was on the Zoom, I'm not sure if you was there, but a couple of weeks ago I said that I started subconsciously, pretty much got a download or something where I was picking up from other collective that I didn't feel I was connecting or feel connected to any more of the word Black. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I didn't understand the definition of it. I didn't know why that came up. And when I did brought it up, it was amongst 2 people much younger than myself that was like, no, how could you, you're strong. And their definition of Black was strength. But I was like, no, I still stand my ground. And yeah. So that question that he asked, has anyone declared a nationality? It's not because I don't want to, I do. I'm just currently in London. So I'm just trying to gather much information because I know it won't be easy. This path I chose was not meant to be easy. So I'm just getting that much information right now because I can't just pop up and say, okay, I'm going to change my nationality. I need to be aware of what I'm doing and to be just have an understanding of self, really. Because anyone could just put on a new clothes, a new robe, and just claim you're Moorish, but are you walking the walk? Are you talking the walk? So yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to say, to add to your wisdom there, for the mother that says she's near Great Britain, all right? I completely comprehend, and I want you to understand not understand, let me share my position. After, and time never was when man was not. However, after 7 years of interacting with this question and speaking with many people, the thing that always is best is you believing nothing we tell you. if you completely believe nothing we tell you, and you take how we show you how to research words, then you can have your own experience with a governing law in jurisprudence. I want to make sure we're clear in what we're talking about when we're talking about nationality. And I'm not using SAT terms to confuse you or intimidate you. What I'm speaking is only for encouragement, and we're planting seeds in the garden that is your mind. In order for you to be able to go, okay, well, these brothers is talking about nationality. Let me be you real quick, Sister Makita. Brother Ronnie, you're talking about nationality, but I would like to I would like to really ask you, what does nationality mean? What does the word mean? Is the root nation? What's that? What is the etymology of the word nation? Because that's really what you guys should be doing, period. I want you guys to make sure that that's what you're supposed to be doing. Because anything we say, you cannot sanction. Anything we eat, you cannot poop. Same thing goes for you. We can't tell you what you are. However, if you actually can see for yourself, I can tell you that nation deals with the womb. Nation deals with mother. So when we say what's your nationality, we're saying who's your mother. However, you can't believe that. So what will happen is Brother Ronnie goes through these things. That's what you'll be getting into in knowing how to rightly divide. Okay, all right, so nationality, okay, we're talking about the womb, we're talking about nation. Why? Because I sat here, I looked up the etymology. I typed in Google, nationality, etymology. Brother Ronnie may bring up a Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition portion also to show you what nationality means in jurisprudence according to that term. You may look in a Third Rawls revision for John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia. What we're showing you is not to sound like a bunch of nerds. We're showing you how it's like if you were making a meal, hey, you got salt, you got pepper, you got some Old Bay over here, you got some garlic, and we're showing you how you can take these different things to basically flavor the season that you're in pertaining to you declaring and proclaiming your nationality. Declaring is being clear. Proclaiming is, putting it out there for the public record. And you do that in your mannerisms every time you comprehend the words that are in the documentation that Brother Ronnie's going to present. When you know the words, not based on what Brother Ronnie says, not based on what I'm saying or anyone else here, you have to eat the apple pie yourself and tell us how it tastes. You may be allergic to apples, so we may have to find a substitute. You may need blueberry nationality papers. I don't know. However, once you taste the pie yourself, you'll be able to determine where you fit in as far as your affairs amongst men. I yield the floor. Islam.
Gratitude for that add-on, bro.
Wow.
Islam.
Gratitude as well. Thank you.
Indeed.
Does anyone else have any questions before I press forward? Okay. So I'm going to show you all from their own website, the quote unquote 7 magistrate so-called governing bodies for the U.S. Corporation. This one in particular is on the United States Department of Justice website. And this one is specifically in reference to what is an ID or identification. And when you see this, I am trusting that your eyes will be completely open as relates to what is really a de jure document as it relates to nationality. Again, the website, actually, I'll just show it to you first. And we'll go from there. Un momento, por favor. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right, United States Department of Justice Archives. This is the Criminal Resource Manual. And if you see here, this is specific to what you would call United States codes or the USCs. As relates to what is actually an identity. And I'll go ahead and read this. So 15.08 of the Criminal Resource Manual specifically mentioned identification documents. That's Title 18, United States Code 1028. That's what USC stands for, if no one knew. Section 1028 of Title 18 designates 3 special non-federal identification documents. So if they ever told you that a driver's license or anything else that we're about to go over is a federal or government issued document, they are lying to your face. 3 special non-federal identification documents and gives them preferred treatment. These 3 documents, in the absence of a national identity card, are the prime means by which an individual establishes his identity in the United States. The 3 documents are A, birth certificate, B, driver's license, C, personal identification card. Moving forward, letter A, birth certificate is not defined in Title 18, United States Code, section, subsection. That's what the S's there are, 2 S's. Subsection 1028, since it is self-explanatory, this document is issued by different agencies. Issued by different agencies. That means that you did not create it. So in essence, it is not you. However, moving forward, different agencies in different states and foreign countries. Nevertheless, it represents the official government statement by the proper government agency that a person having such a name was born on a particular date in a particular place of a specific parentage. Obviously, a birth certificate is not limited. Obviously, a birth certificate is not limited to actually identify a person who claims such a document. Wait a minute, I lose myself. Let me back up. Obviously, a birth certificate is not intended to actually identify the person who claims such a document pertains to him or her. There are a few physical characteristics that remain the same as those at the time of birth. Nevertheless, the birth certificate has become commonplace or commonly accepted as an identification document in this country. B, driver's license is not defined in Title 18, United States Code, subsection 1028. The original purpose of this so-called government issued document was to state that a particular person was authorized to operate a vehicle upon the public roadways. It was not intended to establish one's identity because of the absence of a better document, however, the driver's license eventually has become commonly accepted as a national identity card. Section 1028 covers both domestic as well as foreign government issued driver's licenses. C, personal identification card is defined in Title 18 United States Code subsection 1028 D4 to mean an identification document issued by a state or local government solely for the purpose of identification. This definition would appear to limit such documents.
You finished the Callaloo.
Hello, please mute yourself. Issued by state or local government solely for the purpose of identification. This definition would appear to limit such documents to those issued by domestic, i.e. within the United States, governmental entities, in contrast to the first two birth certificates and driver's licenses. This document is normally issued by state departments of motor vehicles to provide an identification document for those persons who do not, for some reason, obtain a driver's license. In 1979, the National Committee on Uniform Traffic Laws and Ordinances, authors of the Uniform Vehicle Code, provided for the issuance of identification cards, non-driver's license, and restrictions on the unlawful use of such cards. The UVC, which serves as the model state code for vehicular matters, defines a personal identification card as a document issued by the Department of Motor Vehicles for the sole purpose of identifying the bearer and not authorized for use as a driver's license. UVC subsection 1-156, 1987. Does anyone see anything wrong? I see a whole lot wrong in that bullshit, but does anyone else see what I see being wrong with any of that was shared just now concerning so-called identification documents or credentials as opposed to national identity? I yield the floor.
The only thing I understand about identification documents are that such documents should not have an expiration date, and those do.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And that's
your
the
identity
first.
don't expire. Your
Go
identity
ahead.
don't expire.
Facts.
You don't expire. You renew your identity every 20, 30 years. And also you got to pinpoint some of the words they're using too, like person. We all look, I mean, people say person, they think, oh, that's a natural human being. You look in law, there's two different types of person. You got an artificial person and you got a natural person. Because the artificial means a corporation. Because all the documents he just read, a birth certificate, driver license, personal identification card, and along with, it didn't say, a social security card, they all got all capital letters. That represents a corporation. It does not represent you. Also on there, when you talk about a natural person, distinguished from an artificial person, we talking about the living, breathing, eyes, lips, teeth, two hands, 2 feet. That's a natural person on there. That must be distinguished person. When they say person, who are they really talking about? Are they talking about artificial person, or are they talking about a natural person? Because you must distinguish the two. I yield.
I.S.L.A.M, bro. Appreciate the add-on. And did you want to go over the definitions since you brought them up? Natural or person. Person, and what was the other one you brought up? You said person, and then natural
Natural
person.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me bring that. Let me pull that up here right quick. 1 second. I got too many books here. Okay, let's see. All over the place. Okay, from an artificial person, when they say person, when you don't have a nationality identification card, they're talking about a corpse. An artificial person, a person coming from Black's Law Dictionary, a person created and devised by human laws for the purpose of society, a government, as distinguished from a natural person. A corporation are examples of artificial persons. Means constructed on a piece of paper. And a lot of our people, whether you get alleged bills in the mail, any documents you get from these corporate entities, usually they'll have all capital letters. And most people respond to it not knowing that's a corporation, and you're agreeing to the corpse of the 14th Amendment, 1868, or when he set up the corporation and turned people to living to the dead. Most people don't not aware of that, and we was taught in school in those type of schools what a proper noun is. Because when we all write our quote unquote names or appellation, we always put the first letter is capitalized, and the rest of the letters are lowercase. And we get documents with a driver license, birth certificate, any of the documents that come from these colonizers out here, and we agree to that. Hey, that's me. When they ask you for identification, oh, that's me. Here it is. Not realizing you're agreeing verbally that you're the corporation, not the living. Yeah.
What book are you reading from, bro? Because I'm pretty sure I have it here. I can pull it up so everyone can see it for themselves as well.
I'm coming from the Black's Law Dictionary 5th edition. I have my 4th edition way back there. So
Right.
my book, I just pull up a law book. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, I mean, I can also go in a person also. Let me pull that up too.
Go right ahead.
Person. Let me go back here. Because we need to be aware of how they talking to us too. When they do identify us, say, hey, that's not me. We do, we got to start catch on what they're saying to us. And that's how we get tricked up in signing contracts, agreeing to stuff. We really don't have a full understanding what we're agreeing about, and we're taking on the straw man. If anybody has a straw man book, sorry, I ain't got no video on here. Yeah. I'll show you the straw man book. Oh, there. All right, let me see. Let me pull up here. We got it. When you say a person, in here also comes from the Black's Law 5th edition. Here. Also, let me pull up here. It says person and goes down into it. It says corporation. A corporation is a person within a meaning of equal protection and due process provision of the United States Constitution. It says term person actually means a corpse. Because when they identify the person, they didn't say was that an artificial person or a natural person. be referenced to? Because you look, like Ronnie said, you see them 3 documents, absent of a nationality card. That's a corpse. That's not really you. That really is not you. And we've been agreeing to the corpse, not knowing the history and law behind it. Are you?
I.S.L.A.M. Gratitude for the add-on, fam. I'm going to grab the Bouviers. And if anyone's interested in obtaining a study drive, I do have them available. A wealth of information on these on this hardware. But we can dive into that a bit later. But I'm going to grab here the Bouviers and Black's Law Dictionary. And so everyone can see for themselves the definition. We were first looking at person, right? We can also look up a set of words that's listed in the Black's Law Dictionary. It says hard copy here. African descent. I'll get to that in a second after I pull up person. I believe Sister Autumn, you're still here, right?
Yes.
All right. Last week or the last class, you had made mention on particular documentation or as relates to passports and or being able to effectuate them knowing that you are in your proper person when becoming a part of a so-called employer's roster. And that was mainly why I was going over the website here, which is this one here. So if you have the opportunity, you may want to look at this and study it. And you have the study drive already, right?
I do.
Okay, so this website and your study drive, you can find on your study drive the Black's Law dictionaries, as well as Bouvier's, and you can begin to break down these words here within this within this website. And you can see how what they attempt to do is misconstrued and confuse you as it relates to what is proper ID. And you can then put on record with your so-called employer. Have you already proclaimed and declared your nationality as well, or no?
I have not. And they tried to classify me as Black in the process. And I had to notify them that that is not a race or ethnicity, that they are trying to misclassify me under color of law.
Absolutely.
So they put me under other.
Islam, absolutely, that's right. And you're 100% correct. And now you can take and put documentation together, and we'll go over that, which is
Amalia.
The writ of freedom, name change, as well as a judicial notice. And right within those two documents are specific law, case law, information that holds them accountable. Because the moment that they attempt to denationalize you, they are, I believe that's Title 18. And we can verify that today if we have time, if you like. But the moment that they attempted to give to you that status of Black or anything that was not a national ID, they was denationalizing you right at that moment.
Okay, gratitude, because I will be working, or I'm working on getting hired by the fire department, and I just want to move carefully with this so that they don't have any reason to not hire me or to revoke any position they may put me in, because I've worked really hard for this.
I understand. I definitely do get that. And that's the problem with, that's one of the biggest problems that we deal with, is that we should not, when the prophet set up the temple, old Canaanite temple, then the Moorish Temple of Science, and then eventually the Moor Science Temple of America. When he did that, it was very strategic. And that strategy was set in place for us to be able to have our own, as well as protect us. And because of infiltration, because of traitorous blood amongst our own, you know, those things are not in place any longer. And we're dealing with exactly what you're presently witnessing when you're attempting to take care of yourself and your family.
That's correct. I had that experience before, a few weeks ago, by the employer. She, human resource department, she bluntly says, when they classify people on those documents, you say, you know, they have white, Black, Asian, Native American, whatever on those documents. And she said, the European lady said, in front of everybody, say, if you don't mark anything down, say you left a blank. I wish, it says, it has a check mark that says, I wish I do not answer to none of those. She said, based on the so-called government, de facto government, based on observation of you, she's instructed to put down, hey, you're Black, you're white, Asian, whatever. She bluntly said it to us in there. She definitely said that. It's a based on, if you left it blank, hey, well, this person is melanated, they're Black. She said based on if they're holding, I forgot what the word she said, holding diversity in the workplace. That's what it is, diversity in the workplace. We got so many so-called Blacks, so-called whites, so-called Asians working here. Make sure diversity. And she said, if you leave it blank, hey, so-and-so, I looked at them, well, they're Black. I'm gonna mark it down. That's what she bluntly said that.
Has anyone ever paid attention to the definition under, I wish I had a copy of that right now. When you're completing these so-called applications, has anyone paid attention to the fact that when those definitions are listed there for these so-called identities, Black is the only one that does not attach itself back to a nation?
Yep, that's true.
It is the only one that does not attach itself. That's why they need you to be Black. That's why they need you to be African American. You can't be two continents, from two continents, two land masses. It's all a mind game. It's all wordplay. And because we no longer pay attention to the laws of verbiage. And we think that Ebonics is so cool. And the other side of that is it actually is, because all of it is ours. But we got stuck on twisted use of terminology instead of utilizing it for its intended purposes. Ever come up. I'm going to go ahead and read Alan Maxwell Dictionary. And definition is going to be, let's see. Tripping. There we go. African descent. And it reads, African descent, persons of African nativity, that's an important word as well, or of African descent, within the meaning of the Naturalization Act, as amended by Act July 14th, 1870, Title 8, United States Code A, subsection 703, note, are members of the Negro races of Africa or their descendants by intermixture with races constituting free white person. The Negro races referred to being those from which the emancipated slaves in the United States descend, ex parte, Jahid, and I'm saying DCSC, I don't know what that is, 205 F.812 and 815. So to me, that clearly tells you that while African descent is really a denationalization tactic, because nobody from Africa calls themselves African, not one person. And there are over 50 nations on that continent. So they need for you to be quote unquote African descent. But the most important part of that definition is free white person. If I'm not mistaken, we went over free white person in the last class. But like Brother Reggie had just gone over the word person, and I'm attempting to get that here on the screen so that you all can see it for yourself. But there are two types of person. And this is what happened when the 14th Amendment was initiated. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali clearly stated that the 13th and the 14th Amendment is not necessary for the salvation of my people. The reason being is because since the Constitution has never been changed, we were all indicated as free, every man and every woman of every nation, because it is your right by birth to be that. Sadly, every nation has also experienced enslavement in some fashion. That's due to higher and lower self. If any man should find looking for God, you must look within. Same as for so-called devil, because they are all both you. Suffer so-called good and evil, because the knowledge is used for either positive or negative law. It should be easier than that. Does anyone have any statements or questions presently while I'm looking up this definition? Someone asked, is Black's Law Volume 11 any good? It's not that any dictionary isn't any good. It is your comprehension of what you're utilizing and your ability to completely dissect what's being presented to you so that you are in your right mind as it relates to that information. Honestly, the older the book, most likely the better it is, especially as it relates to definitions of words and or case law information.
Yeah, and always check the dates on those books too when you purchase them.
Exactly. You know what? Scratch that. We're gonna just go ahead and get to the proclamations and judicial notice, because those are vital. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and I'm not gonna stop. Did you know that Mike was a fucking genius? He was a musical genius. Like that L. All right. So for my sisters who were inquiring about this, save the mother, and you have definitely saved the nation. So definitely want to get y'all right. Judicial notice and proclamation. I think this is the 1-page doc. No, this is the 6-page document. So, Sister Autumn, I want you to read, if you're up to it, asking your participation, because this is going to speak directly to the situation that you're presently facing as it relates to obtaining employment with a corporate entity. We might as well read this whole document, and we can stop and break down information if you like, but I'll start off unless anyone else wants to start off. There's 6 pages. I might as well do a page apiece. Well, I think there's going to be 5 with actual information. Last page is just signature info. Let me see. No, actually, no. So 6 pages. Does anyone want to start off?
I can start off.
All right.
Judicial notice and proclamation. To all elected United States Republic officials and public servants of federal, state, city, and municipal governments, personnel, and corporate entities concerning the Constitution and all statutory and civil law codes of the land, etc., known all men by those by these presents. Upon my inherited nobility and upon my private aboriginal, indigenous, proper person status and commercial liability, I, your free national appellation here, being duly affirmed under consanguine, is that right? Consanguine?
Consanguine, yes.
Consanguine unity. Pledge my national, political, and spiritual allegiance to my Moabite, or squarely affirmed upon my oath to the 5 points of light. Did I skip something? Oh, yes, I did. To my Moabite or Moorish nation, being the archaic aboriginals, indigenes of Amexem, the Americas, standing squarely affirmed upon my oath to the 5 points of light, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, do squarely affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and having knowledge and firmly established belief upon the historical, lawful, and adjudicated facts contained herein, being competent in my own proper person to attest to this affidavit upon which I place my signature, whereas I state, proclaim, and declare the following to be true, correct, certain, complete, not misleading, supreme, and not intended to be presented for any misrepresented, colored, or improper use for the purpose to wit. Use or purpose to wit. That I, your free national appellation here, am noble of the Al-Moroccan Empire, am a noble of the Al-Moroccan Empire, North America, impropria persona, my own proper self, being Moorish American, a descendant of the ancient Moabites or Moors, by birthright, freehold, primogeniture, is that right?
Primogeniture, yeah.
Primogeniture and inheritance, being aboriginal and indigenous to the land or lands, Amexem, Americas, territorium of my ancient Moabite, Moorish forefathers and foremothers, to wit, the Al-Moroccan American continents are the land of the Moors, being North America, South America, Central America, including the adjoining lands, Americana, Amaru, am I saying that right?
Amaru.
Amaru, Al-Marak. I have acknowledged, claim, and possess by said inheritance and primogeniture. I'm sorry, I forgot to say it again. It's a new word for me.
So good.
Primogeniture.
Yes.
The freehold status thereto. All unalienable and substantive rights to be, to enjoy, and to act, distinct in my aboriginal customs and culture, and determining my own political, social, and economic status of the state, turning my heart and mind back to my ancient mothers and fathers, Moors, Murs, by divine and natural right. Being Moorish American, we have and possess the internationally recognized rights to determine our own status of the state, absent of threat, coercion, or acquiescence to a color of law, a color of office, nor to be subjected to an imposed color of authority. Moors, Moorish Americans, Murs, have proclaimed and possessed the unalienable substantive rights and birthright, inheritance to our Al-Moroccan names and nationality by nature's laws, divine law, primogeniture, and by the recognized laws of the nations of the earth, international, being the true ancient aboriginal indigenes of the land, America, North, being the heartland of the Moroccan Empire. Moors or Moors are the de jure freeholders by birthright, inheritance, and primogeniture status, and have claim and possess the secured rights to travel upon the public roadways, byways, and highways of our continental United States, the organic land, absent of foreign, colored, or imposed excise taxation constructs invented by the racketeering states legislators to abridge and steal rights belonging to the natural peoples. These substantive rights are supported by and asserted by royal law, Moorish law, Muslim or Muslim law, the law of the great peace, the laws of nature, divine law, nature's God, the law of nations, the free Moorish Great Seal Zodiac Constitution, and affirmed by Articles 4 and is that 4 and 6
Yep.
of the Constitution Covenant of 1774 through 1781, AD 1201, MC.
Do you know what AD means?
No, after something.
Nope, that's the lie they keep telling us. After death and all of that is Anno Domini.
And what does that mean?
We can look it up.
Okay. As lawfully adopted for the United States Republic, establishing its republican form of government, said constitution established the people's supreme law of the land, so to secure the rights of the people and to keep the government bound and in check by official oath and by official bond. Down from the ancient ones, our primogenitors, comes the supreme law of the land.
Inshallah. Anyone want to read page 2? All right, I'll do it. Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. The Great Seal Pyramid, you can see that on the back of your dollar bill if you ever paid attention, is the national emblem and insignia of the Moorish nation / empire of North America, geographical location. The Great Pyramid is also the archaic symbol for the civilization on the planet Earth. You know how that's true is because you see pyramids everywhere and you've never actually paid attention. Not just the ones over on so-called Africa and Giza, but there are ones that are on Asia, over in China, that actually have trees planted on them so that they can hide them. But I digress. And there are more pyramids here on this continent, which is North, Central, and South America, than there are anywhere else in the world. There are also pyramids on Antarctica as well. Anyway, moving forward. The Honorable Moor's acknowledgement of our Great Seal indicates their heirs who own up to, who support, and who proclaim our free national government. Moors who are active and not passive in the social, civilization, culture, and custom matters involving law, order, and governmental principles are hereby entreated to support this affirmation. Moors and Murs who strive toward this end with honor are entrusted by Noble Drew to help in the great humanitarian work of uplifting ourselves, our fellow man, and humanity at large. We seek at all times to be conscious of the works, instructions, and acts necessary to teach, preserve, and defend the birthrights of all Moorish Americans, our Moroccans, etc. The noble Moors, heirs apparent, are the natural members, citizens of the ancient Al-Moroccan Empire, North America, and are duty bound to recognize and to support our great seal, sovereign Moorish government and nation of the natural people, and command the enforcement of our Constitution. Thus, such organized communication orders are referred to as the Great Seal, National Association of Moorish Affairs. The Free Moorish Nation, inclusive of all the Aboriginal indigent tribes and provinces of the natural people. That word province is very important there. Are the rightful bearers of the names and titles Ali, Il, Bey, Day, and Al. The free Moors, Murs, by freehold inheritance, retain all substantive rights and immunities. Enjoy the exercising of substantive rights and operate upon consummated right law in tsunami principles having vested constitution, secured rights and immunities from taxation, which are tithes, and from criminal and civil jurisdiction by and of the United States Rights Republic, U.S.A. Pursuant to, but not limited to, the United States Republic Supreme Court and the acts of state, to wit, every sovereign state. Notice it does not say anything about sovereign citizen there. So if you've been hearing in the news about some sovereign citizen Moorish madness, know that they're lying to your face. Every sovereign state people is bound to respect the independence of every other sovereign state people, and the courts of one country people will not sit in judgment on the acts of the government of another, done with the same or its own within the same, done within the same or its own territory. And notice how where it says state and country, it also says people, because right within the Constitution, it says we the people, in order to create a more perfect union. And let me not try to go off memory here. I'll read that opening real quick. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. This is the Constitution for the United States of America, North American continent. But it's important that we understand, or that we know, that we recognize, that we properly digest those words. That means that so-called government are not government. The people is the government. So Sister Autumn, where you are moving forward with your employment situation, this is where you're standing and this is what you're standing on, relates to you being able to self-identify, because they're not government, you are.
That's correct.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
The present Union States municipal and civil laws and codes of the land are an incorporated unit of self-government established by the political powers of the General Assembly of each state of the Union and initiated at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's where the original capital is. That is the original seat of government for these North American states, which are the estates of the Moorish Empire. North America, in the year 1854, it governs only the rights and conduct of white people. Notice that that is in all capital letters. Know that the term white only applies to, in this sense, a status, and that's also a slave or enslavement brand. Christians and Jews of the 1863 United States Rights Republic under the Magna Carta or Charter, the Knights of Columbus Code, and the Ku Klux Klan Oath. Forever said United States Rights Republic denies citizenship denies citizenships in the United States Republic, U.S.A. to the descendants of the Moorish nation in the Western Hemisphere, erroneously referred to and branded and mislabeled as Negroes, Blacks, Colors, and African Americans, etc., etc. In addition, the Supreme Court of the United States, in a landmark case of Dred Scott versus Sanford, 60 U.S. 19 Howard 393 in 1857 is the year, held that Negroes, whether held to slavery or free, were not included or were not intended to be included in the category of citizen, and that citizen means subjects of the United States Rights Republic. Resultantly, the true indigent nobles of the Al-Moroccan Empire, free Moors, bearers of the names, titles, Ali, Il, Bey, Day, and Al, are excluded from the United States Rights Republic, U.S.A. jurisdiction. The true nobles of the Al-Moroccan Empire are sovereign, not citizen, are sovereign, private, and self-governed by right law principles and customs, and only obligated to the free Moorish Zodiac Constitution, Circle 7, archaically established by our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Such extended allegiance and obligation includes the Great Seal and the high principles and moral standards embodied in the Moorish national flag standard: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The true Al-Moroccan noble indigents of the land maintain a constitutional and lawful non-obligatory tax status and position relative to foreign entity taxation, indigents not taxed, and maintain a non-obligatory respect for the United States Rights Republic, U.S.A., its members, its laws, its ordinances, its codes, its customs, and its traditions pursuant to the Free Moorish Zodiac Constitution, Articles 4 and 6, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship by the United States and Morocco, 1787, superseded by the Treaty of 1836, Resolution 75, Journals of the House of Representatives, United States, April 17, 1933, AD, Moorish American Society of Philadelphia and the use of their names. The United Nations Declaration of the Rights of a Child, General Assembly Resolution 1386. 14, UN GAOR, my apologies, excuse me for a moment. 14 UN GAOR, I don't know what the SUPP means. I will admit that. Number 16 at 19 UN document A435 1959. The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, General Assembly, Resolution 217A3 of 10, December 1948 AD. Executive Order 13107, United States Republic, North America, the implementation of human rights treaties, the National Constitution for the Continental United States, Article 3, Section 2, Amendment 4, Liberty Clause, Amendment 9, Reservation of Rights of the People, the United States Department of Justice, Moorish Credentials, Free Moorish Zodiac Constitution, Truth A1 Classified, the United States Copyright Certificate number AA 222141, Clock of Destiny, the Moorish Nationality and Identification Card, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Science Temple Identification Card, etc. Does anyone want to continue with the rest of page 3?
I will. All right. Furthermore, I assert my full birthrights, sovereignty, and substantive rights, and claim to hereditaments, being a sundry free Maur, and a natural being pursuant to Moabite Moorish pedigree, the free Moorish Zodiac Constitution, the Great Seal of the Moorish Nation, ab Antiquio, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1787, 1836, the Sundry Free Moors Act of 1790, the 1781 Organic United States Constitution, the Moorish Federal Finances Act, Union States Army, 1861 through 1863, the 1854 Roman Catholic Magna Charta, the Knights of Columbus Code, the Ku Klux Klan Oath, the United Nations Charter, Article 55C, the Rights of Indigenous People, Part 1, Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Part 2, Article 6, the United States Supreme Court, quote, Acts of State, unquote, the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, 28 USC 1601, et sequa, the Convention on International Road Traffic, Day 19, September 1949, the World Court Decisions, The Hague, Netherlands, Day 21, January 1958, 1378 MC, and reference to the rights of the natural people and substantive rights, etc. The following are pertinent Supreme Court decisions, stare decisis to wit. 1, the right to travel, the right to mode of conveyance, the right to locomotion are all absolute rights, and the police cannot make void the exercise of rights. State versus Armstead, 60 S 778, 779, and 781. 2, the use of the highways for the purpose of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and natural beings cannot be deprived. Chicago Motor Coach versus Chicago, 337 Illinois 200. 169 NE 22. ALR Laguerre versus Chicago, 139 Illinois 4628 HE 934. Boone versus Clark, 214 SW 607 and 25 AM Jur highways, Section 163. 3. The right to park or travel is part of the liberty of which the natural person, citizen, cannot be deprived without quote unquote due process of law under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. Kent versus Duels 357 U.S. 116 and 125. 4. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport one's property, their own, either by carriage or automobile, is not a mere privilege which a city may prohibit or permit at will, but a common right, which he or she has under the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thompson versus Smith, 154 SC 579. 5. State police power extends only to immediate threats to public safety, health, welfare, etc. Michigan versus Duke, 266 U.S. 476 LED at 449, which driving and speeding are not. California versus Farley, said RPT 8920, CA 3rd, 1032, 1971. 6. The state is prohibited from violating substantive rights. Owens versus City, 445 U.S. 662, 1980. And it cannot do by one power. Police power, that which is, for example, prohibited expressly to any other such power. Taxation, eminent domain, as a matter of law. U.S. and UT versus Daniels, 22, page 159. Nor indirectly that which is prohibited to it directly. Fairbanks versus U.S. 181, U.S. 283, 294, and 300. 7. Traveling in an automobile on the public roads was not a threat to the public safety or health and constituted no hazard to the public. And such a traveler owed no other duty to the public or the state. He and she and his or her auto have an equal right to and on the roadways, highways as horses and wagons, etc. This same right is still substantive rule, and that speeding, running stop signs, traveling without license plates or registration are not threats to the public safety, and thus are not arrestable offenses. Christie versus Elliott, 216, 131, 74 HE, 1035, LRA NS 1905 through 1910, California versus Farley, 98 CD, RPT 89, 20 CA 3D 1032, 1971.
Gratitude, brother. So anyone want to read page 4? All right, no worries, I'll do it. Under the United States Republic constitutional system of the government and upon the individuality and intelligence of the citizen, the state does not claim to control one's conduct to others, leaving one the sole judge as to all that affects oneself. Mugler versus Kansas, 1213 U.S. 623, 659 through 60. Where rights secured, number 9, where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rule making or legislation which would abrogate them. Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 436, 125. Number 10, the claim and exercise of constitutional rights cannot be converted into a crime. Miller versus Kansas, 230 F 2nd 486 and 489. I'm gonna briefly stop. And the claim and exercise of constitutional rights cannot be converted into a crime. That also directly ties into what many of us may be aware of presently that happened with our brothers, Rise of the Moors, with these trumped up charges concerning them having, which is their Second Amendment right to have and to operate and or to train with not weapons, but arms. Moving forward. Number 11, for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party, corpus corpus delicti. I don't say that enough. Corpus delicti. There can be no sanction or penalty imposed on one because of this constitutional right. That also goes back to that same situational issue. Scherer versus Cullen, 481, F 495, 945. Number 12, if any tribunal court finds absence of proof of jurisdiction, which is the first issue at law, every time. There's never a time when that is not the first issue at law. Proof of jurisdiction over a person and subject matter, the case must be dismissed. Louisville versus Motley, 211, US 149, 29S, CT 42. The accuser bears the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Number 13, lack of federal jurisdiction cannot be waived or overcome by agreements of parties. Griffin versus Matthew, 310 F Supra, 341, 342, 1969, and want of jurisdiction may not be cured by consent of parties. Industrial Addition Association versus CIR, 323, US 310, 313. Whereas in light of the foreign jurisprudence, stare decisis mean decided law, Supreme Court decisions, facts and law, and counter to the negative and colorable social conditions instituted by state persons of the Union State Society, there exists a blatant want of jurisdiction on the part of the United States Rights Republic, U.S.A, its agents, personnel, contractors, and assigns. Axioms are legally enforced under national and international law attending to these issues. And this affiant natural person in propria persona does not waive any rights, does not transfer power of attorney, and does not willingly consent to any public trial or hearing in any colorable tribunal venue or non-Article 3 unconstitutional jurisdiction. That definitely has nothing to do with any quote unquote Article 3 what other words I'm looking for? Man, completely blank just now. I'll come back to it. Unconstitutional jurisdiction, the official oaths, the obligations, and the fiduciary duties of all accusers and bond claimants to national law and order. Civil principle fixed in constitutional law still stands, the definition and truth still rules. Non-compliance is a federal and international law offense.
Brother, I can read the rest for you, just for you to rest.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, where am I? Whereas there is no question that a bench appearance summons, detention, arrest, and ticket or citation issued by a police officer or others for traveling with no driver's license, foreign driver's license, not having current registration or mandatory insurance, etc., which carries a fine or jail time, is a penalty or sanction, and is indeed converting a right into a crime, thus violating the substantive, hope I pronounce it right, substantive rights, excuse me. It is reasonable to assume that these Supreme Court judicial decisions are straight and to the point, that there is no lawful method for government to put restrictions or limitations on rights belonging to the people. that the organic United States Republic Constitution, derived from ancient Moorish law, remains the supreme law of the land, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States flag of peace, pursuant to the United States Code, Title 4, Chapter 1. Any law that is repugnant to the Constitution shall remain forever colorable and is null and void. Marbury versus Madison, 5 U.S. U.S. 137 174 176 1803. Any municipal officer, person, personal employee, or contractor who violates who violate the rights of the people or citizens are subject to suit in their personal and or official capacity to wit. I don't know. Witness, I'm assuming that's what that means. Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 13. I don't know what the squiggly line is for, but 241 of United States Codes of Law.
The squiggly lines are it means subsection.
Oh, okay. Apologies. Chapter 13, subsection 241 of United States Codes of Law. If two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having no exercised the same, or if two or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premises of another with the intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, and if death results from the acts committed in violations of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or and can you scroll up, brother? Sexual abuse or an attempt to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned by any terms of years, or for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. Should I continue?
If you want. It's up to you. You don't have to.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Does anyone Islam, thank you. Gratitude. Anyone else want to take it up from there?
So I'll take it from there with Title 18.
Yes, sir.
All right. Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 13, subsection 242 of United States Code of Law. Whoever under quote unquote color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunity secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishments, pains, or penalties on account of such person being an alien or by reason of his color or race that are prescribed for the citizens shall be fined under this title or in prison not more than 1 year or both. And if bodily injury results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include the use, attempted use, or threatened use of a dangerous weapon, explosives, or fire, shall be fined under this title or in prison not more than 10 years or for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. Therefore, in preservation of the rights of indigenous peoples, quote unquote, and the preservation of the rights of the people, in accord and defense of the Constitution for the United States Republic of North America and its Republican form of government, being the supreme law of the land and primal to the contractual liabilities, oath-bound obligations, and fiduciary duties of the officers of the courts, federal, state, city, and municipal, etc., I hereby demand the enforcement of the de jure laws of the United States and all treaties made under the authority of the United States, in accord with Article 6 of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of the Rights of the Child, the rights of indigenous peoples, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the United Nations Charter, Article 55, the United States Supreme Court, Acts of State, the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act 28, USC 1601, et sequa, the Convention on International Road Traffic, Day 19, September 1949, the World Court Decisions, The Hague, Netherlands, Day 21, January 1958 AD, or 1378 MC, and quote unquote Executive Order 13107, United States Republic, North America. The implementation of human rights treaties, the National Constitution for the Continental United States, Article 3, Section 2, Amendment 5, Liberty Clause, Amendment 9, et cetera, I hereby demand a dismissal of any and all unconstitutional sanctions, claims, or other warrants or charges made or issued which are devoid of true identity personages, a denial of due process of a trial by a jury of my own national peers, or absent of a verified and lawful indictment sanctioned by an assembled grand jury, and that I be availed all lawful constitutional secured safeguards established by the supreme law with documented proper jurisdiction and venue confirmed and in place. Wherefore, all parties of interest are authorized by this writ pursuant to national and international law to honor all substantive rights and constitutional immunities reserved for and to this Aboriginal, Indigenous, Free, and Sovereign Maur or Mer. All officials are to enlist all available and appropriate measures to ensure and assure that all my substantive rights and constitutionally secured rights and immunities are not violated, not breached, nor bridged. The sovereign natural being named herein is not to be arrested nor held for detention under any quote unquote colorable circumstances. You are to notify the active ministers of the Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moorish nationals of the territory, organic land. The natural person named herein is non-obligatory and thus exempt from customs, tariffs, taxations, owner and fee, permit, deception, constructs, and from any other hindrance or restriction of his or her freedoms, allodial properties, compensations, rights of travel, or freedom of movement on, in, or within any member or non-member states of the United States Union, etc. The Maur Mer, bearer of this indigenous people's document, is to be treated with all due respect and due process rights under the law. All available and appropriate measures are to be taken to prevent injustice, harm, false arrest, trumped up charges, or attack on the natural being's person, property, personality, conveyances, freedoms, and or dignity. Explicit reservation and use of all rights reserved without prejudice, UCC 1207/308, UCC 1103 is noted to all federal, state, city, and municipal peace officers in harmony with state statutes and indicates the reservation of my rights, whereby I may reserve my substantive rights and constitutional secured rights and immunities to not be compelled to perform under any contracts or agreements that I have not entered into knowingly, voluntarily, willingly, or intentionally. I do not accept any actual or implied liabilities associated with any compelled benefits of any unrevealed or deceptively imposed commercial contracts. I furthermore do not sanction any unconstitutional rules or policies, nor acts of misprision committed by any U.S. government or state officials at any level claimed by any of them in the name of the United States Republic, nor do I assent to any implied colorable policies made by alleged representatives as being sanctioned by the people and citizens. Consider any formally assumed constructs alleged to be related to me as being misrepresentations and thusly cured forthwith. Let it be known. Let's see. Represent means to depict, to portray, to symbolize, and to stand for. Let it be known that the Union State Society, Bar Association, lawyers, esquires, and attorneys of European colonial descent and foreign corporation cannot depict, portray, or symbolize a free Moor, as they are not of the same nation, jurisdiction, customs, or national peers, and cannot sit in judgment of any free Moor acts of state. Europeans are not indigenes to the land, Americas. Moors are aboriginal. Union state lawyers and attorneys operate in demo political format, which is contrary to Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution for the United States. Moors operate in a republican form of government, conjoined with I.S.L.A.M principles, being in harmony with the Constitution. Moors respect Constitution principles. The unconstitutional tribunals operating under the Union State Society conflicts with and is repugnant to due process under Constitution principles and functions primarily in colloquial procedures. Therefore, no fair, just trial or remedy is availed to the natural peoples of the land through such colloquial processes. These violating acts constitute a conflict of interest, a conflict of law, and clearly establishes the federal questions of diversity of citizenship, a conflict of identity and of nationality, etc. Thus, a clear affirmation of jurisdiction is also hereby proclaimed in advance. Only Moors can present and depict themselves as being Moors, Al-Moroccans, and Aboriginal indigenes of the land. Thus, only Moors can, quote, present self. I, Shawnee Male, a real, live, flesh and blood, breathing, non-fictional, and natural being, born of a natural mother, do solemnly, sincerely, and squarely affirm that the foregoing facts contained in this constructive and actual judicial notice and proclamation by a firm affidavit are true, to the best of my knowledge, culture, customs, and beliefs, being actual, correct, not misleading, etc., and being the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Habu, love, Haq, truth, Salaam, peace, Huratayim, freedom, Adal, justice, all rights reserved without prejudice, recourse, allodial claim.
Inshallah, Islam.
Islam.
We can get ready to close out. But I trust that we were able to clear up some cobwebs and set right some information that was previously maybe unclear. Oh, and I thought of what I was trying to think of earlier, which is that Article 3 courts, that has nothing to do with some so-called consular court. To be a consul is to be consul unto oneself, and a consular court is not a creation by a group. It is a venue as relates to positive law and between nations. And the last I checked, if we're Aboriginal Indigenous, that means we're home. Moroccans, Moors on our own land. So that's actually an oxymoron, or basically morons creating some sort of so-called court. I yield the floor. Does anyone have any questions, any add-ons, et cetera?
Yeah, after just from being in class with Brother Hassan earlier and going through it and just going over this again, it's just clear that we have not been taught anything about civics or jurisprudence on what our duty is and what their duty is. And now it's just more clear on who we are and what they not, and on what we should be doing to get them to actually do their job and what they took an oath to do. And it's just even more clear now as I continue to baptize myself of all the brainwashing and misconceptions and beliefs that I had. And I'll yield the floor on that.
Come on, brother.
Islam.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. That's real.
Yeah, just read the
Second that.
Article 6 of Constitution. That's their obligation.
Indeed, Islam, brother Reggie.
Hey, Ronnie,
Yes.
can you go up to page 2? I got a question that's just in my mind. I just want to get some clarity.
Page 2, where at, bro?
At the top, the beginning, as a matter of fact. Right there. See, I'm when people talk to me about who we are, and like I said, I'm in Alabama, so I'm the only one basically that is a Maur that speaks about the Moors, and I try to understand as much as I can to continue to teach the people that's curious about who we are as a people. That's the first aspect of it, because they keep asking, well, how did you get here and get there? But the part when it says the capital empire of dominion of Africa, inhabitants of Africa, but the first word is Egypt. Does that make us Egyptian, or is that the location we travel from to this land? That's the part that kind of confused me a lot when they use that. So is this the people that's coming from that land to North America, if I'm not mistaken, through the travel and how they got here, were they Egyptians first, or they just Moabites but lived on the land of Egypt? Now, that's the part that confuses me. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely, Islam, brother. And from my studies, as a matter of fact, you have your Circle 7 Holy Quran?
I don't have it on me at this moment. I really don't. I just
That's all right.
Information.
That's all right. That's not a big deal. From my studies, there's a couple of things that are very twisted as it relates to geography, basic geography, and then so-called governmental principles. The word Egypt, when you see it there, it literally actually pertains to, just like the word Africa there, it literally pertains to the whole of the landmass of what we call planet Earth. Broken down into sections and or continental divisions that's also listed here. But were you aware that originally there's an Egypt right here in the Americas that's older than what you know of across the waters?
Facts. That's it. Now, that's the second part, because when they talked about Higher Egypt and Lower Egypt, and if I'm not mistaken, if I was told correctly, or if I understood correctly, Lower Egypt was the people of the Fez, and Higher Egypt, it talked about a different type of head dressing. But studying from listening to the brother that wrote When Rocks Cry Out, he always speak about Egypt in America, especially in the Grand Canyons.
Yep.
So
Yeah, Definitely. Yeah.
That, that's a
Yeah.
that's an amazing book, bro. That's an
I
amazing
got the
book.
book. I gotta finish it. You know what I'm saying? So it listening to him, following you, um, uh, Sabir, Taj, it's you gotta kind of on my journey. I try to kind of piece different informations together, but that part always stood out the most. Of that Egypt part, did we cross or were we here already? And it talks about this Egypt in America and that people and who we are. You know what I'm saying? Because, and I'm gonna say this, I be on Twitter and I follow Africa. It's the African, almost like an African Facebook that they had. And I ain't gonna say Facebook. It's like an African news thing that they got going on. And I went toe to toe with some Moroccans, and they tried to pull up their history of the real Moroccans, and they were European looked. So I end up screenshotting a picture of the real inhabitants of that Moroccan, and there is I forgot the name of the brother that they always post, and he has a turban on. I forgot what his name was, but we always use his portfolio, his portrait as a means of how we internationally were everywhere. I forgot the name of the brother, but I posted that picture up too, and that tried to give them a distinct look of who we really are. So they kept saying that they don't acknowledge you. That's what they kept saying. But they don't acknowledge you guys as Moroccans in America and blah, blah, blah. But if we, to me, and I'm going back to this part where we conquered Spain. Did we, from that point, did we walk the shores? I mean, walk the lands of America, or who were we at that point? I know we was Moabites, but did we come from Egypt, Africa, or are they talking about the Americas, Egypt? That's the part that confused me.
Well, we were already here.
True that. Facts.
We were already here. One has to understand that, or rather sum up for themselves the fact that there is not a time when man was not. Because as far back as you can go, we've always been here. We are the ancient bloodline. We've always been here. When they use words like Africa and Asia, those words actually just mean land. Asia in particular means, if I'm not mistaken, a land of the rising sun. Well, if that's true, then that would mean that the entirety of what we understand Earth to be would be land under the rising sun. Africa is really not the true name of that landmass. It escapes me at the moment. I think it's Tamiri or Tamiria.
Right.
But that's also
right. Facts. Go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's also what this landmass is named. So in your Circle 7, chapter, I'm not very good with the Roman numerals. I think this is 45, XLV. Divine origin of the Asiatic nations. And it's a short chapter, so I'll go ahead and read through it real quick. And then in your Circle 7, you can read, looks like this is chapter 47. You see that Egypt, the capital empire, the Dominion of Africa, is right in your Circle 7. So Divine origin of the Asiatic nations. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate and to know their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. The Moorish, who were ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. The Egyptians, who were Hamites, Hamathites, and are direct descendants of Mizraim. The Arabians, the seed of Hagar, Japanese and Chinese. Hindus of India, the descendants of ancient Canaanites, Hittites, and Moabites of the land of Canaan. The Asiatic nations of North, South, Central America, the Moorish Americans and Mexicans of North America, Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans in South America, Colombians, Nicaraguans, and the natives of South San Salvador in Central America, etc. All of these are Muslims. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar and are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founding of the uniting of Islam by the command of the great universal God, Allah, Islam. So, in that chapter, it actually tells you who the Moors are. And anyone who's denying that is denying their bloodline. Anyone who doesn't recognize that, you're literally saying that you're denationalizing me. That's what you're saying. You are an enemy of the state of my mind. And I yield, brother. Did you have anything else to add on? Did you have any other questions? I don't know if I cleared anything up for you or not, but we can always continue to build on that.
Yeah. I just wanted clarity because when if somebody do get nationalized and they have these proclamation page judicial papers and everything, that just, if they was reading it like we was reading it today, to me that just stood out of knowing of who we are as a nation of did we, like I say, did we travel here, or I know we was already here, but I want to say, did the ancestors come here to build, or did this part of the land, it was already occupied and they was already civilizing themselves? Because like you say, we have ancient pyramids that's older than the ones in Egypt. And when we talk in that perspective, it's like, okay, so that means it was a nation of people already here. But when you say this is Egypt in America, that's the part where it might get confusing if it's not explained correctly, because it's almost like a tennis match to me, and I want to be able to present it in a perspective to people, especially here in Alabama, that don't understand and don't get the history and the knowledge of it, to engage them to take part into their nationality journey. Even though we're all Moors, to them it just seems like that doesn't resonate of saying, okay, let me claim it. People want history and knowledge of who they are. Pictures, I always keep receipts on my phone all the time when I'm talking to different people, but I want to make sure that particular part of it, when I talk to them, I can give them that knowledge of it. So I'm gonna have to go back to the Circle 7 and grasp it to the point I can regurgitate it.
And another good book to have is let me just get it real quick. metaphysical dictionary. All right. And since we were talking about Egypt,
I remember while you're looking at that, I remember Brother Taj talking about how the map was flipped, I think it was flipped upside down or something like that. It's not the correct map that we're looking at. And he talked about different territories that were geographically in the line of Egypt. I know for a fact that where I'm from, we are descendants of Moors. I know that for a fact because the city that I'm in Tuscaloosa is named after Chief Tuscaloosa. So he was a Moor, but they tried to denationalize him and give him an Indian name and change the correct spelling of his name. They kept it, but they changed it for the city. But what's funny is that the police officers' patch have a copper colored tone, not a light skin tone that they're portraying in books. That was funny to me. But Chief Tuscaloosa is a Moor, and I know Alabama is another state as well, or descendants of Moors. My mom, she was trying to find out where our true natural birthright was, and she found that in Spain, where the Moors conquered, she kept calling out Hannibal. She realized that we was descendants of those Moors that was in Spain at that time. So to me, that by her saying that is, it just gave me more and more reassurance and confidence on who we are. But at the same time, I want to be able to regurgitate all aspects of where we come from and how we settled and migrated or what we did,
And in time, brother, you will definitely get there because I haven't arrived yet, not by a long shot. And are you familiar with the 7 Hermetic principles?
I'm sure. No, I haven't. I heard about it, but I haven't. I'm sure you gave it to me because you give me so much, and I've heard about it.
Okay, look that up in your free time because that'll help you understand some of the principles that you're trying to lock down as it relates to this Egypt thing.
Okay.
And just know that we on this plane, the light and darkness, they're mirrors of oneself. As above, so below, as within, so without. What's across the water is actually here too.
Yeah, that's correct.
The quote unquote.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, because we all got to think about before the land split, we was going back and forth. Everything was connected. When they say Egypt, they are talking about when they always particularly talking about you hear on what we hear today, Egypt over there. And what's original Egypt is here. If you look at the corporation called Memphis, Tennessee,
boom,
you see that pyramid sitting on the Nile River, what they call the Mississippi River.
Facts. And Belize.
That's Lord. And I'm gonna read something. If anybody, Charles Mosley Bay was a student of Noble Drew Ali in Clock of Destiny 1. He gives a brief instruction on Egypt. He said the term Egypt implies the productive soil in the northern hemisphere, especially in the United States of America and Canada, Upper and Lower Egypt. The quote unquote white sons and daughters went to Egypt by the stroke of a pen.
So can we say that in this particular point of the the proclamation papers.
Mhm.
We had pharaohs here as well. Are we
Absolutely.
talking about? I mean, it's saying the inhabitants of Africa. So that's,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying. So
Mhm.
even in what you said, brother, we talking about a land that's connected. So
Yeah.
are we going from that perspective in this particular part of the sentence, a paragraph? You know, or how we speaking on determining the people of where we from, even though I know we've been here.
Mhm.
Did how can I put it? Did the travel of us and like you say, we went back and forth, but at the same time, will we establish ourselves as Moabites in this part of Egypt, or so-called, well, I ain't gonna say so-called, but Africa, Egypt? You know what I'm saying? It's just
Mhm.
that part is just kind of confusing. Then it cuts into um talking about the dominions and the habitations, you know, of North, South, Central, and all the, you know, the Atlantis Islands, which is here. You know, so to me, it sounds like a journey from that Egypt to here, but especially when you're speaking from pharaohs on that perspective. So I
Mhm.
don't know. We had pharaohs in America that we, even though we call this Egypt, do we have a pharaohs here as well in Lower Egypt? And you know what I'm saying? That it's just that particular part is kind of confusing.
Yeah, I believe we did communicate with each other. From my perspective, we did communicate. Were we on this landmass or on that landmass? We did have some type of communication. Well, other parts of the world too. From my perspective, it's like, okay, we know what's going over there, and we know what's going over here too, because we all the same people.
Facts.
Yeah,
Could
we
I
all the same
interject,
people.
fellas?
We had to have some type of communication. Hey, okay, we got some people over here doing this,
Facts.
and we got some people over here doing this. We had, I mean, that's the thing we had to dig up, because we separate by waters does not mean we're two different people. And to
Facts.
say on, you know, because we all got the same bloodline. It's the same bloodline. We, you know, with the same, like I said, I mean, I've been to Grand Canyon
Okay.
out there, because I domicile in Arizona. I say, yeah, it got a lot of our ancient culture here.
Right.
It's street names, city names, you name it. I said, you look at like you say, the corporation called Memphis, Tennessee. You look at the map here in what you call North America. You look at Egypt, what they call Egypt today. It's the same map.
Mhm.
The Nile River, Cairo.
Mhm.
It said we had to have some type of communication while we travel on that other side, that landmass. We had to have some communication. Hey, we speaking the same language, same culture, everything. Because we keep dividing it, what the hybrid Europeans been doing, dividing us. And so our so-called black leaders been dividing us like we two different people.
Mhm.
May I
And we
interject?
don't, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interject.
Go ahead.
A few months ago, I was reading something either from a book, or I'm not quite sure what source I was reading from, but I was reading about the Khalifa Empire.
Yeah.
And it was telling me what part she has conquered, or one part, no, let me rephrase that. The part she was ruling, right? Leading. I like leading. So, and the more I read it, the more I realized, wait a minute, hold up. Because some places that she brought up, I remember I was back in college, And there were 3 places I was thinking of moving to, or wishful thinking, I guess, or I was channeling something, or maybe it was just my past life. But the 3 places I chose was San Francisco, Hawaii, and Australia. And I stopped reading and I sat back and I said to my partner at the time, I was like, the 3 places she's lead, I'm thinking, maybe I've lived multiple times and lived in these different places, but it's probably reminding me you are from the same people. You just live in different locations, but you're the same people. Now I want to go back. I want to go further back. In my teenage years, my dad introduced me to the mutant message. We like to call them hybrid women. She written a book about the Aborigine people in Australia, and she gave her accounts. And overall, people had their opinions, like, oh, she's lying, she made it up, or whatever the case may be. Now, regardless of that, I received the message, and it was very powerful at that time. I wasn't aware of a lot of things yet, so, but that was part of my journey, and my dad shared that book with me. Now, when I reflect back at that book, I remember thinking, oh, I would love to meet your Aborigine people, right? Not realizing who I wanted to meet was myself. So when you're asking about locations of where did I originally come from, you have to understand, I think which of course, I'm not saying this to you, I'm actually reminding myself here. So don't think I'm trying to teach you something, because it's not about teaching, it's just remembering who we are. So as I'm speaking and saying this, I just want to relay that we were taught to separate each other. And when you separate each other, you see someone else separate from you, you have a disconnect and you lose the power from within yourself. But I believe if you just kind of like remove all the hybrids, you literally, we were everywhere. We're one people. We were one race.
Exactly.
Okay. So as much as we want to get in our heads and those people who, and I get it, we want to be I get the feeling that you want to be a teacher. You want to empower the people by bestowing knowledge. But you're gonna come to a point in yourself to say, you know what? I am tired of having to say, you're from here, you're from there. Because guess what? In our heads, we like to, you have to understand, you have a foundation of lies. And you're trying to feed them with great fruits and all that stuff. But you have to understand, you can't give someone fruits and say, okay, rebalance your body, okay? You have to remove all the toxicity, all the stuff that they was taught, because you're adding all those things. It's just then gonna be like, oh, well, I'm better than this person, and we start to separate each other again because of that egoness, that's, hope I'm making myself clear. But as you gain more knowledge, and as myself, I'm new to all this, what you're saying and what you're expressing, I'm like writing down the stuff that you're talking about. So, so I'm absorbing the information. And I think for me, I'm getting snippets of information, which I'm probably great at snippets, but I'm trying to connect it, which is why I'm here. But what I'm trying to say to you is, brother, when you start, even if you don't think you have it all or you don't have all the information, know that don't get so caught up. And I know we want to help those brothers and sisters, but there are brothers and sisters that is just trying to force you to go back to your history and say, oh, my grandma was here. My auntie was here. And when in actual fact, it's about knowing self and to know that no one's separate from you. Your grandma could be from Spanish Town or somewhere from some part of Africa, and don't get caught up of locations. Feel it. Just feel it, because sometimes someone from another part of the world you meet and you like, there's a connection. Why? Why is it a connection? Because it's something familiar. Don't look at the location, look at the feeling. In the universal law, I remember I wasn't even fully aware of certain things and I was channeling certain things. And even in my dreams, I'm not speaking. I can feel the emotion of it. I may not even know who this person is, but I can feel it. And brother, when you speak, you feel it, but I think you're getting too logical where certain things were. And I get it, because when you're trying to break things down, people love to hear, yes, give me the facts and give me the facts. But guess what? Sometimes those people who's asking for the facts, you're not even supposed to be dealing with them. You're supposed to be dealing with people from the heart. And I tell you, you reserve so much energy. and your energy, the energy you're reserving, is just going to expand to those who are actually wanting to get this information. Promise you, brother. I promise you. That's it. I yield.
Islam to that. Islam, big Islam to that. Thank you for that add-on, sister. Yes, indeed, you're completely correct about that. And I want to add on to where you're at with that, because you said a lot of key things there. The feeling it, the metaphysical is really what you're talking about. And when we're talking about the splitting of the two hemispheres, you're also talking about the hemispheres in your brain. You have a right and a left. And that's also the parting of what you understand, or the story of Genesis, Genosis. That's that same story. It's about self. It has always been about you. It's really been a map. It's been entirely a map back to self, so that you understand who you are on this plane, to remember that your godliness here in this physical manifestation. And Brother DJ was asking that question. So I'm going to read real quickly here out of the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, Egypt, right? I'm not going to try to get too, because it's a long definition, but let's see if we can go with the first 3 paragraphs here, which are relatively short. Egypt, from the Greek, Coptic land, from the Hebrew name Misraim, which means shut in, resistant, misery, tribulation, distress. A country in the northeast of Africa where the Israelites were held in bondage for many years. It's in Genesis 12:10, 37:28, 42:1, to end of Exodus 14. Jesus was taken into Egypt when a babe to save him from Herod, which tells you that he was never no pale-faced modern European. Matthew 2:13. The metaphysical definition, and it's rather long, so we'll see. Meta, the realm of substance and life in the depths of the body consciousness. To the unregenerated soul, it is the land of darkness and mystery, yet it is essential to the perpetuation of the body. Egypt signifies the darkness of ignorance, obscurity. It has a special significance in the body consciousness, and we often think of it as referring to the subjective or subconscious mind, which is actually controlling most of your actions, your subconscious mind. We also refer to Egypt as the flesh consciousness, sense consciousness, or material consciousness. I can stop there if y'all want, but this definition is extremely long within Metaphysical Dictionary. Do y'all want me to continue?
Yes, please.
All right. The hidden realm within our organism is in an Egyptian or obscure state to most of us. Yet it is a great kingdom, and its king is Pharaoh, ruler of the sun, or that brain and nerve center which our psychologists have correctly named the solar plexus. As above, so below. Remember that. Solar plexus. They tell us that this is the brain of the body, and that it directs the circulation, digestion, assimilation, and so forth. Students of mind have discovered that the solar plexus is but the organ through which a ruling thought acts. And this ruling thought is typified by Pharaoh, he of the hard heart, who would not let my people go. But we should not forget that it is down in Egypt that we find the grain. or substance required to sustain the man. Many workers in truth think that it is useless to go into this obscure kingdom within each man. They are not willing that Joseph shall spend a part of his time down in Egypt, making ready the storehouses and filling them with the vitality that will be needed when the outer man has exhausted his resources. These will find that they cannot have that joyous reunion of mind and body with all its brothers or faculties as set forth in Genesis 42 to 46, unless they are willing to let the higher self thought go consciously down into Egypt and rule there second to King Pharaoh himself. Physically, Egypt typifies that part of the body below the diaphragm. The various plagues brought upon the Egyptians by the Lord through Moses are symbolic representations of what occurs in this part of the organism when the presiding intelligence, Pharaoh, opposes the influx of the higher life. Parallels to the bloody waters, frogs, lice, flies, murrain, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and death of firstborn may all be found in the various diseases of bowels, kidneys, and other organs of the body as named by doctors. A very large number of these ills result from mental resistance to spiritual consciousness, which is working widely in humanity. Absolutely. The spiritual man, the true ego, is the only rightful heir to the divine inheritance, spiritual consciousness. We as individuals must awake from the dream of mortality, leave Egypt, the flesh consciousness forever, cross the Red Sea, the boundary line where we sacrifice every tie that binds us to the past, thence go through the wilderness, a transitory state, through the waters of Jordan, the boundary line between the transitional and the permanent, and plant our feet on Canaan's land. Interesting. Or in our inheritance. Once there, we have 31 kings usurping thought forces to conquer before we can peaceably settle down in our inheritance. But Christ, the captain of the army of the Lord of hosts, meets us, is revealed to the conscious thought on Canaan's shore and directs our battles. Truth becomes an active, irresistible power. When the spiritual man awakens and finds that he is the possessor of the divine germ, the word of truth, he begins at once to make use of it. The result is an influx of light. Mortality, which is synonymous with darkness, begins to fade from his conscious thought. As this light increases, mortality decreases until, as Paul says, mortality is swallowed up in immortality. Death is swallowed up in victory. That's 1 Corinthians 15, 53, 54. There's also one here on Egyptian, and it's short, so I'll go through that one real quick. Egyptian, Greek, a copt from the Hebrew from word Mizraim, which means shut in, resistant misery, tribulation, distress. Natives or inhabitants of Egypt, descendants of Mizraim, son of Ham, 1 Samuel 30 and 11. The metaphysical means Egyptians signify sense thoughts or thoughts that pertain to the subjective consciousness in its unawakened state. They belong to the Egypt consciousness. And I yield.
I guess there was a reason why for you to read that whole thing, because it was great. so much gems dropping in there.
Yeah, Islam definitely was.
Mm.
That was the first time I read it all the way through. But this is a great piece of literature to have in your library. If I'm not mistaken, it is on the study drive. I like hard books more than I like flipping through a computer screen. I like the smell of the book, pages in my fingers. So I try to get books, but that can become expensive. If anybody's interested in obtaining the study drive, holler at me, let me know. I can get a copy to you for a small donation. I'm also a published poet. If you're interested in poetry, my literature, I can get you a copy of that too as well for a small donation. And we're closing out. I'm glad everybody showed up. I enjoyed this. I hope everyone else enjoyed this. I hope we all learned something, and I definitely trust that we can come together and see each other again on the next class, and that'll be in 2 weeks from today.
Brother Ronnie, where do you post your poetry at?
I don't necessarily post it. You can find some of it on my IG, Facebook. I got 2 IG pages, one for the business, which is More in a Minute, Marketing and Consulting Solutions. My IG is I.S.L.A.M. My Facebook pages, and there's 3 of those, but you can most likely find them under the attached to one another. But the main page is Ronnie H. Salaam Bey on FB. And there is a specific business page for More in a Minute. That's MAURNINA minute, MINUTE. Marketing and consulting solutions. And you'll see the logo. If you see in the chat somewhere, you might see
Yeah, I found it, brother.
That's what's up, man. Indeed. So, but as far as my actual book, I can, if you're interested in a copy, just let me know and I can get an autographed copy out to you, small donation for that. Does anybody else have anything else to add on? Anybody want to, I know Brother Hassan is on here. He's got 7 Hill Star and the astrology. A lot of what we've been talking about tonight ties right back into astrology. And he's a trusted brother of mine. Early on in my journey here, is remembering our bloodline and Moorish Divine and National Movement. He assisted me quite a bit and still does. And I'm thankful for that. Does anybody else have anything else to add on? I yield the floor.
Ronnie, RV Bay, are they still doing nationality papers?
Most certainly.
Okay, is there COVID didn't stop or slow down the process, and none, did it?
I have no idea. Really, what I want to do is I want to partner with them in some fashion so that we can continue to do exactly what they started out to do, which is bring light for the people, getting these national documents out to the people, the credentials for the ID cards, et cetera, out to the people, a website that generates that type of information for the people. Most certainly that is some of my thoughts as it relates to this. And but yes, they are, as far as I know, very much still active, very much still doing what they've set out to do. As far as it having slowed down anything for them, I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
But if anybody needs direction on completing their documents, if you have a study drive, the documents are on there. I can walk you through your process. If you need signatures, we can discuss on how to get that accomplished for you. Maybe you completing on your side and doing your signature and putting it in the mail and sending it to me, and I'll John Hancock that joker and get it to him next Maur. There, Brother Hassan and I are basically in the same area, so maybe he can autograph and get it back to you, so you can or send it directly to whomever, to Great Seal, so they can seal it and get you rolling.
Yeah, I'll be able to autograph too. They need to.
That's what's up.
What did you say was an astrology? Is he on here or she?
Yes, he is.
Uh,
Brother Hassan, you still there? He may have fallen asleep. I know he's got a newborn in the home. And,
fall asleep. I'm in London and it's too.
He's always going strong. He's always doing his business, man. He's always doing the damn thing. So he may have. Yeah, but
what's his IG?
7 Hill Star, and also Astrology Street on IG.
Hold on. Astrology Street.
Yep.
Okay. Just that, no dot, no underscore, no nothing like that. Little stars.
For Instagram, no.
Okay, Astrology Street. Okay.
Yeah, and then on there as well as 7 Hill Star.
Oh, 7 Hill Star.
You can find that on Facebook as well, both of those.
No, I got kicked out of Facebook. I don't have that no more.
Yeah, they always coming for the truth spillers because I be dropping it and they keep trying to kick me around. But you know what I've realized to do? If you start rebutting their little BS with actual law, they're attacking your freedom of speech. And I've noticed that they try to warn me of this. I'm getting information from posts that was like back in 2012, and it was maybe something provocative, a lady doing this or brother, you know what I'm saying? And they said, well, this might be against so and so, and I'm like, well, okay, did y'all close my page out or not? No, okay. Well, then why the fuck you telling me? Leave me alone.
Yeah, that's true.
Just stop, because I done seen worse. And I continue to see worse on public pages or Facebook. I see you can't imagine some of the shit I see, and I'd be like, they tripping. They is tripping out here, and you want to bother me about this little or the use of a word, so-called nigga? Like, y'all need to get it together. That's offending somebody. I know why it's offensive, because it actually applies to, you crackers, but no.
I have a quick question to ask. It's related to, because I live in London at the moment. So you guys, I am 5 hours ahead of you. It is now 2:45.
Oh,
I'm not from London. I'm from New York, but just letting you know where I'm at.
Oh, okay.
Since you guys have Facebook, or the next time we meet again, do you think you guys would be open to assisting me in maybe finding more Moors over here in London? I was on a train once and I could have sworn I seen a Moor, and I wanted to get off the train, but the door closed too quickly. So I was like, But yeah, I don't know any Moors here. I'm very sociable, but it's different here.
There are a few brothers that I know for a fact are on that side of the water.
Okay, I'll connect with you on Instagram.
Okay, that's a bet.
Okay,
you already have my pages and whatnot.
Don't worry, I'm a New Yorker. We stalk people. No, when you want information, let me phrase that. Sorry.
No, you good.
Information.
You good. You good. You good. It's all good. It is not a thing.
Leaky's honest.
Right. Well, maybe I'm worthy of being stalked. I'm not even mad at it. It's all good.
Sorry, guys. Wrong choice of words. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say thank you, all of you, actually. Your energy, just definitely being here. And when I was speaking, actually, I was picking up someone's energy because I was shaking, not shaking, but I was shaking off the energy because it was so much. It was overwhelming. So I must have picked up on someone's energy as I was speaking. It wasn't anger. It was just strong. It was very strong. So, and I want to also acknowledge the spirit and the energy that is with us, because honestly, they brought us here. We brought each other here, but I like to acknowledge them as well, because they are here, whether you can't see them or not. They're here, and just want to thank all of you. Honestly, I feel so good. You know, I felt like I was lost, but I'm definitely not lost. I was on a journey to find myself, but acknowledge myself. That's how you find yourself. Acknowledge myself. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Look within.
Absolutely. Yes, Sean.
Seeing yourself. Always.
Brother Ben and Brother Ronnie.
Ronnie, you're dope. Thank you.
Yeah. Peace, brother. I'm glad to meet y'all, man. And this is just another class that I'm gonna add to, and it feels good, man, meeting people and who are on that level, or past the level where I'm at, but who studied, that I can just learn with, instead of just being around Negro, Black, and colors, which they're still cool, no shade, but
yeah.
So, I've been in hermit mode for the longest, get out the house, but all love to y'all, man. For real, peace.
Yes, indeed. I appreciate that, brother. And my sister, Makita, I think, if I'm not mistaken, forgive me if I messed that up. Brother Sean and Brother Benjamin, and Brother Reggie, Brother Hassan, Sister Autumn, and Brother DJ. I don't know who and Brother Tez, I think that is. Yeah, Islam. Yes, sir. And we have an iPhone listener. Welcome. I hope you're not CIA, and if you are, just know that we coming at you.
Get you in the rest of the alphabet soup.
You can be alphabet.
You know what? I'm going to read something. I'm going to read something, if that's okay with you, just based on that statement, and I just call you brave. So this is what I believe. This is for you, because I read it just as I was joining the. This is for you, Ronnie, and for the rest of you, all of you. All right, this is a screenshot that I took from Instagram. It says, "I say what I say and do what I do, because I know my ancestors wouldn't have dared put this amount of bravery in my spirit if they didn't want me to use it. So you use it, Brother Ronnie. Thank you."
Islam.
Islam.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I guess in the next session I can share a little bit of my poetry if y'all are up to it. In
Yes,
fact,
please.
I can close out with one. I think it is very poignant. I'll do that real quick. This is it right here. I'll close out with one, and this one in particular, and I actually have some other things that I want to do with these, but soon come. This one is called "Legalize It," and by any means put it in the rotation. No, not the green leaf medication, but the alcoholic laws of prohibition, the legal degradation of an entire nation. They hasten to a propagandist agenda, the intention, misdirection of your attention with the invention of a same-sex population, and liken them to the movements of the 1960s civilization. In the swift motion, death, blood, and demonization, downplayed in the halls and the logs of history, victory, laughter masters, stole your heritage, woman, manhood, and state of Moorish consciousness. Legalize it, humanization, militarization to protect and serve the supremacist agenda. To hell with reparations. These heart palpitations pound endlessly. The restrictions placed on our arteries of legacy, the ancestry of the ancients of old. Stories told through scribes and hieroglyphics, statues of stone, pyramids and obelisks, civilized cities with running water, waste disposal, and the laws of Ma'at. And the Olmec ruins all run congruent to the seat of human genealogy rooted in Ethiopian anthropology. Your fallacies crumble in the face of reality's proof, but my people, my beloved, but my people, my beloved, color of my flesh, blood of my blood, casket crip, walk with me bones, suffer we post-traumatic slave syndrome, murderous you are, nation of the white sheets. Legalize it. Blue boys and no soul, the body count tolls infinitely for the dominant gene, perish we systematically, erasing our maturation, our senses dulled, our vision skewed, our essence hunted, our culture preyed by the vulture. Past to present, your idea of justice and illusion, lip service, empty words worth less than a paper that reveals their meaning, intriguing, how entertainment purges the containment of your true intentions. Art imitating life through cinematic invention, not to mention how the truth spills from the screen masquerading your deceptions to the untrained eye and clouded mind. It vexes me. Legalize it. Legalize it. Poverty, disenfranchisement, uneducated, underemployed, barren tables and broken homes, rape and pillage any landmass, banner of filthy rags, land of the cheats, home of the slaves, weapons of mass destruction, deploy your corruption abroad in inner city streets, insatiable propensity of aggressive pursuits of the defilement of innocence, pledge my allegiance to the closed mind, slumbered sheep slaughtered in the wake of self-hatred with ease and labeled a detractor of peace, but you won't legalize it. My heritage, lineage, shades of the diaspora, original man, and crown me king. Islam, I say, I mean, that's legalize it.
Wow.
Nice. Thank you for the message. Felt that one. Full chills, full on chills. Love it.
Thank you. But
All
thank
right,
you
brothers and
everyone
sisters.
for, absolutely. My sister, go ahead. If you were speaking, go ahead. I apologize.
No. I'm saying good night. I'm saying all good night.
Oh, okay.
No.
Islam, most definitely. Peace, y'all.
Mm.